President Andrzej Duda met President of Moldova, Maia Sandu, in Chisinau as part of consultations before the NATO summit and his talks with the United States President. They discussed, among other things, the issue of refugees from Ukraine and the economic situation of Moldova. From Chisinau, Andrzej Duda travelled to Bulgaria for a meeting with President Rumen Radev. These are unprecedented murders. I hope that the next NATO summit to be held in Brussels will unequivocally side with the free world, with freedom, independence and sovereignty of the Ukrainian state. Above all, normal opportunities for development for the Ukrainian people. We are resolute in giving this aid to all who need it. We are in the midst of a war. An example of such action, which is committed to helping, is Poland, which has already taken more than 2 million refugees. We are supporting the refugees from Ukraine. We are making every effort and they are receiving help from us. In the afternoon, President Duda flew to Bucharest, where he met Romanian President Klaus Iohannis. The new NATO strategic concept that is being developed at the moment must take into account the changes that the aggression against Ukraine has obviously triggered. NATO must take this into account. I believe that the NATO presence in our country should change its formula. It should stop being enhanced forward presence or tailored forward presence and should become defence forward presence. Together with Poland, we want to confirm the main task of NATO, namely collective defence. President Biden's visit to Europe and his participation in the Allies Summit once again reaffirms the unity and solidarity of the Allies. Together with President Duda, we also raised our joint priorities for transatlantic relations in a new context. In turn, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to the Italian Parliament today. He warned against the Russian invasion, the effects of which will be felt all over the world, and that many countries may experience famine. That is why it is so important for the West to stand in solidarity against Putin's aggression. The time has come to do everything possible to ensure peace, to bring to an end a war that has been prepared for a long time by one person in Russia. Russia has made huge money from oil and gas exports and has used that money to prepare a war not only against Ukraine, its target is Europe. Russia wants to have a huge influence on your lives, control your politics, ruin your values. Not only yours, Ukraine's. Democracy, human rights, equality, freedom. These are the same values that we have too, and they are under threat. Since the beginning of the war, Italy has admired the courage, determination and patriotism of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainian people. Mr. President, you said that your people have become your army. The arrogance of the Russian government clashed with the dignity of the Ukrainian people, who managed to put the brakes on Moscow's expansionist aspirations and put a huge cost on the invading army. You are heroes. Italy is on the side of the Ukraine in this war. Italy wants Ukraine in the European Union. In response to the continuing hostilities inside Ukraine, the European Union is doing everything it can to support Ukraine in its fight and to bring aid to the victims of the Russian invasion. Another package of sanctions is already being prepared.
Restrictive measures continue constituting an important part of our approach, and we are ready to take further according with our partners. We will continue engaging with international partners in order to continue putting pressure on Russia.
The $800 million worth of equipment that Joe Biden talked about during a speech last week will soon arrive in Ukraine. The United States is not only involved in material aid to Ukraine, but, as Pentagon spokesman John Kirby pointed out, is also involved in collecting evidence of Russian war crimes.
We certainly see clear evidence that Russian forces are committing war crimes. And we are helping with the collecting of evidence of that. But there's investigative processes that are going to go on, and we're going to let that happen. We're going to contribute to that investigative process. As for what would come out of that, that's not a decision that the Pentagon leadership would make.
Vladimir Putin is trying to intimidate the international community and accuses Ukraine of having biological and chemical weapons. US President Joe Biden believes that the Russian accusations may indicate that Vladimir Putin himself is considering using such weapons in a war against Ukraine. He also warned of possible attacks by Russian hackers on American companies.
His back is against the wall, and he's talking about new false flags he's setting up, including he's asserting that we, America, have biological as well as chemical weapons in Europe. Simply not true. I guarantee you. They're also suggesting that Ukraine has biological and chemical weapons in Ukraine. That's a clear sign he's considering using both of those. He's already used chemical weapons in the past, and we should be careful what's about to come. He knows there'll be severe consequences because of the united NATO front, but the point is, it's real. And And what I want to mention very quickly with you all.
With each passing day, Russia expands a coalition of states condemning its actions and joining the sanctions. Yesterday, it worsens its relations with Japan by breaking off talks on a peace treaty that has not been concluded since the end of World War II. The point of contention includes the status of the Kuril Islands. This whole situation was provoked by Russian aggression against Ukraine, and the Kremlin's reaction in pushing responsibility onto Japan is extremely unfair and totally unacceptable. Japan strongly protests against such rhetoric. We are steadfastly moving towards international order, and in unity with other countries, we are taking appropriate action. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is focusing worldwide attention, as there are fears that it could escalate into a global conflict. Pakistan has also joined the diplomatic efforts.
As I said, I would want the foreign ministers, Shah Mahmood Qureshi, please discuss with the other foreign ministers, and I will discuss with His Excellency, the Chinese foreign minister, how we can all
The governments of many countries are beginning to see more and more dangers of a prolonged war. And it's not just the military threat, but the price of raw materials and grain. According to the United Nations, it could also have a serious and negative impact on the fight against the climate crisis.